All right, so your boy Skip Bayless is in some hot water yet again. This time is because he made some insensitive remarks, I believe, on Twitter about the whole Demar Hamlin situation. And if you don't know about that, he's an NFL player who had I believe, cardiac arrest, and right now he's in critical condition. But on Twitter, that boy Skip just couldn't help himself. He was saying basically, yeah, this happened, but what about the game? Like, he was talking about the game instead of the fact that his life is in danger. Like, he could actually die. His heart stopped, I believe. So it's just crazy that he was talking about that instead of the actual health of the player. He was trying to talk about the game. Like, the game is the only thing that mattered. But yeah, right now he's in some hot water, and my boy Charles from Dreamers Pro, he's not really my boy, but I watch him, and he broke down the situation pretty well, so I'm just going to react to that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have an extremely serious show, so I don't want to waste your time whatsoever. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this topic here. As y'all know, there's a developing story out of the NFL that has just seemed to catch everyone off guard. As you guys know, I don't really follow football at all, but I woke up this morning and I woke up to some very disturbing news. Apparently, NFL player by the name of Demar Hamlin, who plays for the Buffalo Bills, was playing in a game against I believe it is the Bengals. He's playing in the game. I saw a little bit of the play, not trying to watch too much of it because it's very graphic. He took a hit, went down, stood back up, and then he collapsed.
Honestly, I'm not going to say it's all the way like crazy graphic, but it's just the way he stood up and then wobbled and then came down. It just looks so it was hard to watch. So okay, yeah, I guess in that sense it could be graphic, but it was pretty hard to watch.
And then he went into cardiac arrest. Subsequently, you saw the medical staff of the Buffalo Bills rushing on the field to administer aid to him. And the entire arena just went into absolute shock. You saw some of the players that seemed to be besides themselves. You saw a lot of the Buffalo Bills players in tears. They couldn't believe it. And I believe subsequently the players refused to play the game. And to me, I thought that would be a no-brainer, right? Like, how can you play an NFL game or play any type of game for that matter when you see your teammate just go through something like that? How do you get yourself in a mental space to be able to continue playing that game? So I think subsequently, the game was suspended. And this morning, I was trying to actually pick up the pieces. And the first bit of information that I got was actually, it was referred to me from a video I saw of Stephen A. Smith on my recommendations bar. And he was talking about it. So I then started to do some research to understand what was actually happening, because this news seemed to be pretty big. So as I was combing through the internet, trying to get a grasp of what was actually happening, I then somehow stumbled upon an article that was talking about Skip Bayless. And I'm like, what in the Lord's name could Skip Bayless have said now that had...
What in the Lord's name? Oh my God, this guy Skip Bayless. He's been getting away with shit all the time, though. He always says some shit that's kind of out of bounds, but because he's old, I guess, and he's been here for so long, people kind of give him a pass. And it's kind of like people just end up forgetting, because things always happen every day. Something new, something crazy. Like, the news is so ongoing that people kind of forget. Like, the last thing that Skip Bayless was getting flack for was basically disrespecting his co-host, Shannon Sharp, in that whole situation. He didn't even apologize for that. So people were giving him some flack for that. And now this whole situation right here is just not a good look at all.
As him trending, as well as this particular news here surrounding the player, Demar Hamlin. Hamlin, excuse me. And I then started to comb through some of the things that it was said. And then I saw what he wrote on Twitter. And I want to read it to you, because I just can't believe that in a moment like that, This is what Skip Bayless had to say. Let me just read the tweets. First tweet he put out was, "No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game. But how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant." I want you guys to think about this for a second. At a moment in time like that,
Skip.
the game is paused. The guy is on the floor. He is being administered medical aid. You have players.
Mind you, I tried to give Skip the benefit of the doubt. And of course, man, like, I just kept rereading the tweet that he had sent out. I'm like, bro, what in the hell were you thinking? Like, I get it was a big game. It was a huge game. One of the biggest of the season. But this guy had a whole cardiac arrest. He's my age. He's 24 years old, bro. Like, this man is young as hell and just had a fucking cardiac arrest, bro. Like, he's in critical condition. And Skip was worried about the game. Not once did he say anything about the guy's health. I think he had said something after he was getting flack for this tweet. So it's like, did you even really mean that? You just care about the game, bro. At this point, damn.
Tears in tears. Think about this for a moment. And in the midst of all of that, what comes to Skip Bayless's mind is this game going to be postponed or is it going to be canceled? Just imagine that. The level of insensitivity that you have to have for that to be the primary thought going through your brain. There's a lot to unpack here. A lot. That particular tweet that he put out about 7 hours ago, obviously depending on when you see the show, generated 105 million views, 100,000 comments. 100,000 comments.
Goddamn.
And people were absolutely going off on him in the comment section. He then tweeted after that, "I've seen so many horrific injuries suffered on football fields, yet never have I."
See, now he's trying to do damage control. Like, Skip, bro. We know what you're doing. You've done this all the time. Now that you're finally getting some real flack and some real people, like, actually not messing with what you're saying, like real reactions here, now you want to actually respond. It's funny, but okay.
I seen a reaction like this. In every other situation I witnessed or covered, the game always went on fairly quickly. The attitude was, hey, that's football. For these players, this was this man said for these players that this was different. And then people started to deal with him.
Yep.
They started to deal with him. I'll read you some of the comments under his first tweet that I read.
As they should.
That people are saying, this is actually from an NFL player, I believe, Darrell Revis. "All you care about is football when Demar Hamlin's life is at risk. Coming from you, I expected more. This tweet is not. You..."
Not gonna lie, I seen him saying some outlandish shit. Why did you expect more from him? Like, I don't have anything against Skip Bayless because he's said so much outlandish shit, like, over the decade that I've heard of him. Like, I'm not even that surprised anymore. But, I don't know. I guess that's just me. Like, at this point, he says crazy shit all the time. Disrespectful shit all the time. And I'm just like, is he just saying that shit and no one's gonna say nothing? I'm like, all right. But this time, people are saying some shit.
Of all people should know better. Isaiah Thomas, who I believe is the NBA player, I think the real one. "I hope they fire you, bro. For you to even think of the game is very sad." Other people went off. This is so disgusting. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Another person said you should be fired, this and this and it. So that's what some people said there. Then, I believe one of Skip Bayless's contemporaries in sports, his name, and I got his name here, is from, what is it? Fish Sports. And I just want to quickly get the gentleman's name here. His name is Fish Sports. It's Cowboy Insider, cowboycountry.com. And as y'all know, Skip Bayless covered the Cowboys. Big Jerry Jones fan, you know this. So in response to his first tweet that we read, when he said no doubt the NFL, he wrote, "For the millionth time, at Real Skip Bayless, and I've known you for 32 years.
Ooh.
You are a soulless effing piece of
Man, this is not a good look, Skip. These are people that you've known for," he said, 32 years. Calling you a soulless fucking piece of shit. Oh, man. I think Skip has his comments turned off or whatever, but man, this one's gotta hurt. Cause this ain't no random person. This is someone in your field saying this shit. Someone in your field. I just at least hope that Skip realizes you can't just say anything. Like, you can't just say whatever. If enough people don't like what you said, bro, something is going to be done about you. You're going to be handled in a way you've never been handled before. So, that's on him.
What? That's one of his contemporaries that said that. It's not fans or people on the outside or play. That's one of his mates. One of his contemporaries that had that to say, those comments to say about him. Then he tweeted out again. He said, "Nothing is more important than that young man's health. That's what's the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if I was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I pray for him and I will continue to." Let me explain to you exactly what just happened. I said this before and I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to take my time on this particular show here. Skip Bayless is a very, very insensitive person.
That's facts.
He is very insensitive.
Yup.
And I want to remind you guys, for those that have been on this channel for quite some time, I told you, mark my words. Go back and look at the shows we produced.
Jeez.
I told you that his callous, reckless, insensitive behavior towards certain athletes would come back and bite him in the butt. I said, mark my words. The videos are up there. What am I referring to? I'm referring to the shows we produced around Russell Westbrook. I'm going to go back to this because some people were defending this nonsense. I said, it is one thing to criticize a guy for his bad performances. I said that is one thing. If he plays bad, have at it. But I said to be constantly critical of him, to always look for the negative in him. And then on top of that, to then call him out of his real name, to be calling him Russell Westbrook. I said,
I'm not even going to be a hypocrite. At that time, I thought that shit was hilarious. But it's like, at some point, bro, you going too far, man. Like, especially when the family is involved, because his wife was telling him, please stop doing that to our name, calling us Westbrook. At that point, I would have stopped. But of course, Skip Bayless, thinking that he's better than everyone, and saying, no, I'm not going to stop. I'm Skip Bayless. I can do whatever I want. But, hey, karma's a bitch, isn't it?
that was extremely childish and unnecessary. I said that. And there were a lot of people that were watching those shows that were defending Skip's right to do that. And I said, you're crossing the line. It got so bad that the man's wife said, please stop saying that about my husband's last name. And Skip said it was inbounds. He was defending his right to insult Russell Westbrook. In that moment, people were okay with it because Russell Westbrook was playing bad. And a lot of you should have said, wait a minute. This is beyond analyzing the game. It's beyond that. You're not analyzing anything. What you're doing is making fun of the guy. And what has happened is Skip has had this long leash to be absolutely insensitive to people and flat out rude. You saw how he treated his own co-host. in Shannon Sharp on Undisputed when he basically insulted the man on live TV, told him to put his glasses back on, and never came on air to apologize for it. Instead, he justified, oh, we're in the heat of the moment, we're battling. BS. You cross the line, say I'm sorry. You're not too big to say I'm sorry. You're not too big for that. You can say I'm sorry. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. It was wrong of me. I went below the belt and I crossed. You could say that. But even in that particular situation, we produced a show about it just yesterday. And he addressed it, in nowhere in his comments did he say, I'm sorry. He said we're in the heat of the battle and he's a competitor. Had that been, and I said it, then I'm going to say it again. Had that been the other way around, where Shannon Sharp said to Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith is way better, or Colin Cowherd or whoever else is way better at your job than you are, all hell would have broken loose, because at that particular point, he would have crossed the line. Skip would have taken offense, as he usually does when things seem to be personal about him. Another issue about Skip. Skip has made it publicly clear that he doesn't read his comments. And when you don't read you see, it's not, you don't read your comments to take what these people are saying about you and take it into inventory and then all of a sudden start modifying. No. Reading comments sometimes help you to gain some self-awareness. You can't be so full of yourself that you feel like you're just doing it 100% the correct way, that therefore no matter what people say about you has no bearings on you. No. Listen to what people are saying. No one is saying internalize it, but be aware of what's being said. If we're doing this show and I don't go through the comments and then something for just whatever reason I decide to read and I found out that I had something on my forehead, and people are like, hey man, before you produce a show, make sure you comb your hair and make sure you don't have something on your forehead. I would never know that. I would never know that, because I'll think, well, what's the point in reading my comments? What's the point? Skip was 100% in the wrong. 100% in the wrong. And now he's forced to apologize because his ass is on the line. That's why. Not because he meant it. Not because he came to some type of what is it? Epiphany. He had a eureka moment. No. You think this is what he's doing it because now he really stepped in it.
Nah, he had a revelation, epiphany. He suddenly realized, like, oh shit. Ah man, I said some shit. Niggas are on my ass. Like, not just niggas, like everybody's on my ass. My own contemporaries are on my ass. Like, that's the only reason he said some shit. If no one was going at him like that, like this, because this is millions of people, mind you. Like, it's millions of people going at him. I know for a fact it's getting to him. That's why he had to say something and reply. And of course, he was being insensitive the whole time. And he just thinks that he can get away with it. I thank God, like, people didn't let him get away with it this time. But we'll see what happens next, because he's going to say some disrespectful shit again. We know that. So
he wasn't going to apologize for disrespecting his coach. He wasn't going to do that. And all the other disrespectful stuff that he said. He wasn't going to do that. But now that he stepped in it and he's a man on an island, he is forced to apologize. Skip, your pride is too much. Your pride is too much. There's nothing wrong with saying I'm sorry. It makes you more of a man. When you're wrong, to admit that you're wrong, not less. And this is Skip. This is Skip. This has been going on for years. Skip has been disrespecting people since ESPN. And when you have one of your own colleagues in your industry, within your industry, that have known you for a good 3 decades.
God damn.
To say that about you, you know something is wrong.
That's older. That's older than me. Imagine. He's known this guy for more years than I've been alive. And this is what he thinks about him. And he said it publicly on Twitter for everybody to see. And he cursed in it. So that's how niggas really think about this dude. That's what they think about him. Like, That's gotta hit you somewhere. I don't know how thick Skip Bayless' skin is, but man, it has to hit you at some point.
I have no defense for this. There is no defense for this. It is extremely insensitive and you seem clueless. Skip has always been disrespectful. Always. He's always been disrespectful. That's why when Shannon Sharp said, if you had to choose between your career and your wife, he said, don't ask me because you know who I would choose. You don't say that. You don't disrespect
Wait,
your wife.
what? He said he would choose his career over his wife? No way. Nah, I don't believe he said that shit. Nah, I don't believe he said that shit. I don't think Skip is that insensitive. Like, why the fuck would you even say that? Why would you even insinuate that? Man, this guy Skip, bro.
Like that on television?
Nah.
You lie! Even if you don't mean it, you lie. Why? To respect her. That's the point. You respect her. It's not always about you and letting us know, oh, I'm the man. No, you respect your wife. Say, I would never do that. Even if you feel otherwise. Why? Because you don't want to embarrass her in front of the world. And that's what he did. That's what he did. Skip respects nobody. Nobody. He's very disrespectful and insensitive. And I've been saying this for months. I said it will come back and bite him. And I said, mark my words. And now what you're seeing is the reincarnation of all of that Russell Westbrook disrespect. Here you're seeing it on Front Street. That in a moment like that, a man's life is in jeopardy. God forbid. And that is what pops up in your mind. A goddamn game. Something is truly wrong with you. A football game. Just imagine how out of it you gotta be to be thinking about football at that moment. That's what you're thinking about. You see players on the field crying, but you're so insensitive and you cannot take for a moment to step outside of your own personal predicament, put yourself in the shoe of somebody else to feel the pain that they're feeling. You can't do it. And that's the reason why when usually you disrespect people, you're usually confused as to why they found it disrespectful in the first place. It doesn't register. The only time it registers is when the disrespect is coming to you. I feel no sympathy for Skip. Skip is way too prideful. All of these comments are nonsense. I thought you don't read what people say. You know what happened? He got a call from the big boys that hire him and say, you put out an apology.
Yeah, that's what happened.
You put out an apology.
That's a fact. That is, I mean, I think he said it on the show too. Like, in the show this morning, he was saying like his boss had called him saying like people are going crazy about the tweet that you just had. Try and clear it up or something of that nature. So he was even admitting it himself that his boss said something. It's crazy. Like, man, we'll see what happens next though, because I already know Skip is not gonna stop saying some crazy ass shit. So we'll see what else he says that's crazy.
I don't feel sorry whatsoever because Skip has a chronic history of disrespecting people. He has a history of doing it. No one is saying you cannot make a mistake. No one is saying that, but when you do, and it's clear and it's evident, you apologize for it and you try to make amends. You try to make amends. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the adult thing to do. And now you're paying the price for all of that disrespect and insensitivity. I don't feel sorry for him at all.
Hopefully he learns his lesson, but we know Skip, he's not gonna learn shit. He's really not. So let's see what happens to him next, I guess.